Hello guys, today we'll be having a session on carotid artery, which is an important vessel in head and neck region. So always remember, it's better if you're going to start with vessels of a particular region. So you should have a bird's view on the vessels of every region. And if you have not done vessels so far for any region, this session will build you a platform as in how to approach studying an artery. So you will be covering an artery under the following side headings. See, just imagine how will you study a river, or how you would have studied river in your geography lessons when you were in 8th or 9th grade. So you will start with understanding where the river is originating, what is its path, and to which states or districts it supplies water, and where it is going to terminate. So your arteries and veins are like rivers in anatomy. So you should understand where it originates, how it is coursing, and what are the branches and relations, and what is the termination. So if you open your textbooks, you'll have 7 or 8 pages. But this session is going to be very simple, and I have made it as simple as possible. So if you're going to take notes, observe the picture, you can have these notes even until you complete your university exam. You need not refer your textbooks for this session if you take proper notes. So let's get started. We will learn together now. So the first artery that I'm going to talk about is common carotid artery. This is the principal vessel of head and neck. So every vessel concerned with head and neck is going to be because of the presence of common carotid artery. So we will study that. So this picture, we will be discussing about its origin, its course, relations, branches, termination. So we'll get started. So the first side heading under which you will study common carotid artery or any artery is origin. So if you take common carotid artery, you will be having two common carotid arteries on the either side. So you will have a right common carotid artery. You will be having a left common carotid artery. So origin of both these common carotid arteries are going to be different, but the course of both the arteries are the same. So if you take origin of right common carotid artery, it is from your brachiocephalic trunk. So if you take, this is your arch of aorta and this is your brachiocephalic trunk. So your right common carotid artery arises from the brachiocephalic trunk. So origin, brachiocephalic trunk. Whereas your left common carotid artery, it arises directly from your arch of aorta. Then the course of both the arteries are going to be same. So if you take, it is going to extend upwards along the neck. So if you take after this origin, it is going to extend up along the neck. And if you take here, it is being divided into two. So what happens is, it extends upwards and is related to the transverse processes of lower 4 cervical vertebra. Again, I will repeat. After its origin, it extends upwards along the neck and it is related to the transverse processes of lower 4 cervical vertebra, that is C4, C5, C6, C7 mainly. Okay, so this is its course. Okay, extends upwards along the neck and is related to the transverse processes of lower 4 cervical vertebra. Now we should talk about termination and branches. So if you take, so this is your thyroid cartilage, this is your lamina of your thyroid cartilage. Okay. So it terminates at the upper border of lamina of the thyroid cartilage. So this is your thyroid cartilage. So it terminates at the level of upper border of thyroid lamina of the thyroid cartilage. So at its termination, it gives rise to two branches, that is your internal carotid artery and then your external carotid artery. So if you take, this is your external carotid, this is your internal carotid. So external carotid lies medially, whereas your internal carotid lies laterally. So this is your origin, course, termination and branches. So again, I'll repeat common carotid. You have two common carotids, that is your right and the left common carotids. So your right common carotid arises from your brachiocephalic trunk. Your left common carotid arises from your arch of aorta. Both is going to ascend upwards along the neck. Is related to the transverse processes of lower 4 cervical vertebra. And at the level of your upper lamina, upper border of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage, it divides into two, that is your external carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. Why is the name external and internal? Means always remember your structures or the branches arising from external carotid artery, it supplies the structures concerned with exterior part of the skull. So almost the structures present outside the skull is supplied by external carotid artery, and the structures concerned with inner aspect of the skull is supplied by your internal carotid artery. So this is about your origin, course, termination and branches. Now what is the clinical anatomy? You have two clinical aspects regarding your common carotid artery. First important thing is your carotid pulse. So you need to observe this picture to understand how you check a carotid pulse. So I told you the carotid artery is related to the transverse processes of the lower four cervical vertebra, right? So this carotid pulse can be felt at a tubercle called as carotid tubercle. So where is this carotid tubercle present is at the transverse process of the sixth cervical vertebra. So carotid pulse can be checked by pressing the thumb against a tubercle called carotid tubercle. So where is this carotid tubercle present? It is present at the transverse process of the sixth cervical vertebra. Now, what is the surface anatomy? So you will not, by seeing, you will not be able to appreciate the sixth cervical vertebra and all, right? So 4 centimeter above the sternoclavicular joint, you have your sixth cervical vertebra's transverse process. That is, your carotid tubercle is present 4 centimeter above the sternoclavicular joint. So how you are going to palpate the pulses? Medially and posteriorly with the thumb. So if you take this picture, he is pressing medially and posteriorly. Okay, so medially and posteriorly 4 centimeter above the sternoclavicular joint, you will be able to appreciate the carotid pulse. So actually you are palpating your carotid tubercle. And you have one more clinical anatomy. So in case of your malignancy of your thyroid, your carotid pulse cannot be felt because your cells are going to cover your carotid artery. So it is very difficult for you to palpate the carotid pulse in case of common carotid, in case of thyroid malignancy. At the same time, you cannot press the both the carotid arteries at the same time. Mean to say, it is not possible for you to feel both the carotid pulse of right common carotid and left common carotid at the same time, because blood supply will be hindered, so it will create hypoxic conditions in the cranial cavity. Hence, the patient might go with any of these serious conditions. Okay, so this is what is about clinical anatomy. So clinical anatomy of common carotid artery, you should know about carotid pulse. And in case of thyroid malignancy, you will not be able to feel the carotid pulse. Main important is your carotid tubercle, also called Chaisangnan's tubercles. Could be your MCQ question. So what is the surface anatomy they can ask? So 4 centimeter above the sternoclavicular joint, medially and posteriorly by your thumb, if you're going to press, you will be able to appreciate the carotid pulse. So this is regarding your common carotid artery. So this is your picture to depict your origin, course, termination, branches, and this is your clinical anatomy. Now moving on to one of its important branch, external carotid artery. It's very, very important. So far in my sessions on tongue and middle ear, we were discussing mostly about your external carotid artery, because all these structures are concerned with, some structures are concerned with your inner aspect of the cell, some structures are concerned with your exterior aspect of your skull. Okay. So external carotid artery, how will you start? Okay, so origin. So what is the origin? It is going to arise from the common carotid artery. So this is its origin. Okay, so it is going to arise from the common carotid artery. So if you take, this is a common carotid artery, it is going to give rise to 2 at the level of upper border of lamina of thyroid cartilage. It gives rise to your internal carotid artery and then your external carotid artery. So this is your external carotid artery. So your external carotid artery originates as a branch from your common carotid artery. What is its course? So if you take here, you will be having your mandible, and in your parotid gland session, they would have told about the external carotid artery. That is, your external carotid artery is going to terminate in the substance of parotid gland as superficial temporal artery and then maxillary artery. Okay, so if you take, what is its course? So after origin, it is going to ascend upwards and is related to the neck of the mandible. So here you will be having your mandibular bone. So it is related to the neck of the mandible. So it ascends upwards, related to the posterior aspect of neck of the mandible, and it pierces the substance of parotid gland to give rise to two terminal branches. I hope I am clear. So again, I'll repeat: ascends upwards, neck of the mandible terminates in the substance of the parotid gland to give rise to two terminal branches. So now you have around 8 branches with your external carotid artery. So that is an acronym given in Vishram Singh. If you take external, if you spell external, you have 8 letters. Therefore, you have 8 branches. Okay. What are the branches? First branch is a superior thyroid artery. Next, you have your ascending pharyngeal artery, occipital artery, posterior auricular artery, facial artery, lingual artery, maxillary artery, and superficial temporal artery. So these two I was talking in the last slide. So your external carotid artery begins in the neck of the mandible, goes to your parotid gland and terminates in it as your superficial temporal artery and then your maxillary artery. If you remember posterior auricular artery, I told in middle ear. So one of the branch of your posterior auricular artery, it supplies your middle ear, I have told you, right, already. So these are the 8 branches. Okay, so this is your origin course we saw, and these are your 8 branches: superior thyroid artery, ascending pharyngeal artery, occipital artery, posterior auricular artery, facial artery, lingual artery, and 2 terminal branches. So what are the 2 short notes? So you need not sit and memorize all these 8 arteries. Of course, it is not possible. You have 2 short notes from this. One is on facial artery, another one is on maxillary artery. Maxillary artery is a rare short note, but your facial artery is a very important short note. Repeatedly asked question in university exam, and you can expect a gross discussion or a spotter or a surface anatomy in your university practical. This is a definite question in your paper too. Okay, so I'll be focusing more on facial artery. So please pay attention. So these two, with this picture we will study, and then I will show you this flow chart that is put in this slide. Okay. So if you take, this is your common carotid. So external carotid artery, internal carotid artery. So if you take this particular arrow, this is your facial artery. Okay. So how will you begin with facial artery is origin. So first heading will be studying in origin, right? So it is a branch of external carotid artery originating above the tip of greater cornu of hyoid bone. I already told you in tongue, if you remember hyoglossus muscle, I told you in your hyoid bone you have a very important structure, that is a greater cornu of hyoid bone. And that itself I told you most of these structures will originate from your greater cornu. Okay. So your facial artery, it arises above the greater cornu of hyoid bone. Then it is going to travel, and you have 2 parts of facial artery. So if you take this picture, you have your facial artery, and here you will be able to appreciate 2 divisions. So one goes up towards the face, another comes to your neck region, right? So after arising from the greater cornu of hyoid bone, it is being divided into 2 parts, your facial part and then your cervical part. So you need to mention something about the course of both the parts. Okay. So if you take this picture, so the cervical part is going to be related to digastric muscle and then stylohyoid muscle. So if you take here, you will be having your digastric and your stylohyoid muscles. Okay. So your cervical part of facial artery is related to your digastric and the stylohyoid muscle group. And it is related to the submandibular and the sublingual salivary glands. That's all. Cervical part is very simple. So facial artery is from the greater cornu of hyoid bone. Then you have the cervical part. It is related to the digastric and the stylohyoid muscle. And it is going to be related to your submandibular gland and then sublingual salivary glands. That's it. Now your facial part of facial artery is what is very important spotter, and you have a surface anatomy also. So if you take facial part of facial artery, so this is a picture, we'll go with the flow chart. So if you take the facial part, it is going to have a looped course along your submandibular region. So this is your submandibular region. So it is going to have a looped course along the submandibular region. So after a looped course along a submandibular region, it is going to ascend upwards along the antero-inferior aspect of your masseter. So if you take, this is your masseter, right? So here you will have your submandibular gland. So your facial part of facial artery, it is going to have a looped course around your submandibular gland. And after that, if you take, this is your inferior aspect. Okay, so antero-inferior angle of your masseter, it is going to enter the facial region. So if you take, first written here, looped course around submandibular region. So after the looped course around submandibular region, it is going to enter the lower border of mandible at the antero-inferior angle of the masseter. So here you will be having a mandible. And if you take, you are able to appreciate this is your masseter muscle and this is your antero-inferior angle of your masseter. Okay, so it enters the lower border of the mandible at the antero-inferior angle of your masseter. And after that, what happens? It is going to ascend along the face. And here you have a surface anatomy. So if you take, this is your medial malleolus, right? So it is going to lie 1.25 centimeter lateral to the angle of mouth. So here you will be having a medial malleolus and this is your angle of mouth. So it is going to lie 1.25 centimeter lateral to the angle of the mouth. And then it is going to ascend upwards further, lies medially to the nasal region. So if you take, this is your nasal region and this is medially lying, right? So it lies medially to the nasal region and finally terminates or ends by anastomosing with the dorsal nasal branch of ophthalmic artery. So we have seen the origin of facial artery. Again, I'll repeat, it's a very important short note. We have seen it is a branch of external carotid artery arising above the tip of the greater cornea of the hyoid bone. Then you have two parts, your cervical part and the facial part. The cervical part is related to your digastric muscle, styloid muscle, and then it is later related to your submandibular and the sublingual salivary gland. Whereas if you are going to take the facial part, it is going to first have a looped course around your submandibular gland, and then it is related to your lower border of the mandible, where it is going to be related to your antero-inferior angle of your masseter muscle, and it ascends upwards along the face and it lies 1.25 centimeter lateral to the angle of mouth, and it further ascends upwards, lies medially to your nose and ends by anastomosing with your dorsal nasal branch of ophthalmic artery. So we have seen the origin, course and termination. We are yet to see the branches. So this is the tabular column that summarizes the branches of a cervical part of facial artery and then facial part of a facial artery. So if you take cervical part, you have the 4 branches. So ascending palatine artery. So from the name, it is very evident where it is going to supply. It supplies the palate. Okay, so ascending palatine artery, branch of a cervical part of facial artery, supplies your palate. Glandular branches. So what are the glands that we saw related to cervical part? We saw it is related to your submandibular and sublingual salivary gland. It is going to supply those glands. Consular artery, so it is related to the tonsils. And submental artery, so it is going to supply your mylohyoid muscle and the lower aspect of your mandibular region. Okay, mental region. Okay, so these are the cervical part of the facial artery branches, and we have seen the area of supply. And facial part, inferior labial. So if you take this picture, this is your inferior labial artery, this is your superior labial artery. So if you take superior labial artery, is going to supply the superior aspect of your lip. So if you take labial means lip, superior means above. So it's going to supply the upper part of the lip. And an inferior labial artery supplies as the lower aspect of your lip. And you have lateral nasal branches supplying your lateral aspect of your nasal region, and we have your muscular branches supplying the facial muscles, which is a very important question. So you should be very specific now. If they ask you facial part of facial artery, if you are going to write these 2 slides, it is enough. So this slide and this slide. So I'm going to ask facial artery, should write whatever I told. So you should mention about cervical part, should mention about facial part and everything. Okay, so if you take this facial artery, is going to have a little bit tortuous course, okay, in your face. That's what you must know here. So this is regarding your facial artery. Now moving on to the next important artery, that is your maxillary artery. It's a rare short note, but it is better you know. Okay, so since again we have 10 questions, this could be a question. Okay, so we are not sure about the pattern, so it's better we learn. Again, it's very simple. So with origin, again, you know, it was a terminal branch. So we had two terminal branches in your external carotid artery. So we had, what are the branches? We had superficial temporal artery and then your maxillary artery, which terminated in your parotid gland. Okay, so it was result of termination of external carotid artery in your parotid gland. And if you take out of these two terminal branch, your maxillary artery is the largest terminal branch. So the first point regarding maxillary artery is, it is the largest terminal branch arising from your external carotid artery. It is the largest terminal branch arising from the external carotid artery. Now the next sliding under which we'll be covering is the course, right? So if you take, after its origin, it runs behind the ramus of the mandible. So if you take, this is the ramus of the mandible. So it runs behind the ramus of the mandible. And here if you take, you will be having your two edges of your lateral pterygoid muscle. So you'll be having your muscles coming like this. Okay. So after its origin, it runs posteriorly to your ramus of the mandible. And it is related to your lower edge of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So what happens is, after coming or after crossing your ramus of the mandible, it is first related to your lower border of your lower edge of lateral pterygoid muscle. Okay, lower edge of lower border of lower edge of lateral pterygoid muscle. So you will have two edges, your lower edge and the upper edge. Your maxillary artery, after coming via your ramus of the mandible, first it is related to your lower border of lower edge of lateral pterygoid muscle. And then it crosses your upper border of your lower pterygoid muscle. Finally, it is going to pierce both the edges of the lateral pterygoid muscle, comes out, and this is your pterygopalatine fossa, and this is your pterygomaxillary fissure. So after coming out by piercing the two edges of your lateral pterygoid muscle, it passes your pterygomaxillary fissure and reaches your pterygopalatine fossa. Again, I'll repeat my course. Please listen. Here you will be having two edges of your lateral pterygoid muscle. You have your lower edge of your lateral pterygoid muscle. You have your upper edge of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So what is the course of maxillary artery? Arises from, that is one of the largest terminal branch of external carotid artery. And then it runs posteriorly behind your ramus of mandible. Then is related to the lower border of the lower edge of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So if you have lower border, you should have an upper border, right? Then to the upper border of the lower edge of the lateral pterygoid muscle. Then comes out by piercing in between both the edges, or comes out by piercing both the edges of lateral pterygoid muscle. So our lower border, upper border, then in between both the edges it is coming out, and through the pterygomaxillary fissure it reaches your pterygopalatine fossa, where it terminates at your sphenopalatine artery that we will be studying in the nasal cavity. Course of maxillary artery is very important. If they ask in short notes, write the origin, course, name the branches. That's more than enough. In maxillary artery, again, you will have parts like how we had in axillary artery, 3 parts. We'll be having 3 parts. So mention the 3 parts, name the branches. That is more than enough for your short notes. You need not write in detail about the branches at all. So I hope I am clear with the course. Now we will move on to your parts. So your maxillary artery can be studied at 3 parts. First part, second part, third part. So first part, if you take from the origin, so we saw origin, ramus of the mandible, lower border of the lower edge of lateral pterygoid muscle, right? So your first part is going to be from your origin till your lower part of your, or lower border of your lower edge of lateral pterygoid muscle. So from origin till the lower border of the lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle is your first part. And second part, if you take from the lower border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle to the upper border of the lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. Actually, in this picture, your lateral pterygoid muscle has been reflected, and so that you will be able to see these structures. That's why you should have a lateral and radical thinking. So you just imagine you have a pterygoid muscle like this. Okay, then you will be able to understand. So first part, origin to your lower border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. And second part, from your lower border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle to your upper border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. And your third part, from your upper border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle till your pterygopalatine fossa, it's your third part. So first part is your mandibular part from your origin to your lower border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. Second part, from your lower border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle to your upper border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle is your pterygoid part. Third part is from your upper border of lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle till your pterygopalatine fossa is your pterygopalatine part. Now, what are the branches from each part? So I told you till this it's your first part, right? So you have the first branch, that is your deep auricular artery, followed by your anterior tympanic artery, then middle meningeal artery, then accessory middle meningeal artery, and finally inferior alveolar artery. So 5 branches from the first part: deep auricular, anterior tympanic artery, your middle meningeal artery, accessory middle meningeal artery, inferior alveolar artery. So auricular, so which means concerned with your ear. So it supplies your skin of your external auditory meatus and then your tympanic membrane. And similarly, anterior tympanic artery, we saw already, it is going to supply your tympanic membrane. And your middle meningeal artery is very important clinically also. So I'll just tell you the simple course. You can just note it down. So you know middle meningeal artery, what is its origin? So any artery, you should remember those headings: origin, course, branches, and termination. So origin from the first part of maxillary artery. Then if you see this picture, it is ascending upwards, right? And it is going to enter into a foramen. You will see what it is. So middle meningeal artery, after its origin, it passes between 2 roots of auriculotemporal nerve. So you have a nerve called auriculotemporal nerve. You have studied in your parotid gland again. It supplies your parotid gland. So it is related between 2 roots of your auriculotemporal nerve. And it enters your foramen spinosum. This is a foramen spinosum. It enters your foramen spinosum along with your nervus spinosus. That is your branch of your mandibular nerve. Again, I'll repeat: from the first part of middle meningeal, from the first part of maxillary artery or middle meningeal artery rises. From there, it ascends upwards. Is related to the 2 roots of auriculotemporal nerve, and it enters your foramen spinosum along with your nervus spinosus, and it enters your middle cranial fossa, lies on the greater wing of sphenoid bone. Just remember this, when we deal cranial cavity, we'll be telling you what are all these structures. But middle meningeal artery is, as such, is an important short note. That's why I'm mentioning here itself. So we saw foramen spinosum, nervus spinosus enters your middle cranial fossa and lies over the greater wing of your sphenoid bone and gives rise to 2 branches: your frontal branch and the parietal branch. So it is going to supply the dura and the inner aspect of the skull. Dura and the inner aspect of the skull. So we'll be studying about the clinical aspect in your cranial part. Okay, so but you remember middle meningeal artery course is very important, because when we take cranial cavity, we'll not be talking about the course. We'll be just telling about the clinical correlation. So you should understand the course. So your first part of maxillary artery, for auriculotemporal nerve, foramen spinosum, middle cranial fossa, greater wing of sphenoid bone, gives rise to 2 branches, parietal and the frontal branches. And you have axillary middle meningeal and then your masseteric artery. So masseteric artery supplies your masseter muscle. Okay, so axillary middle meningeal along with the middle meningeal artery, it is going to go. So we have discussed. So this is your first part. So deep auricular, anterior tympanic, middle meningeal, axillary middle meningeal, masseteric artery. Then your second part, you will have 4 branches. So almost all your muscular branches. So your deep temporal artery supplies your temporalis muscle. Masseteric artery, again you have one more branch coming from a second part. Masseteric artery supplies your masseter muscle again. Buccal artery supplies your muscles of your buccal cavity. Pterygoid branches supply your pterygoid muscles. So again from the name it is very evident. So almost related to the muscular zone. Okay, so deep temporal, masseteric, buccal and then pterygoid. Third part, you will have 6 branches. Posterior superior alveolar artery. So supplies your premolar and your molar teeth. And then infraorbital artery. So related to your eye, and then you have some more branches arising from that you can refer. Okay. And then your greater palatine artery, pharyngeal artery, artery of pterygoid canal. So all these are related to your palate, auditory tube, and some part of your pharynx. Okay. So it supplies all these regions. And finally, your sphenopalatine that we will see in nasal cavity. So this is the terminal branch of your maxillary artery. Maxillary artery is the terminal branch of external carotid artery. And your sphenopalatine artery is a branch of your terminal branch of your maxillary artery. Okay. So you just have to study the arteries like this only. No, you need not go in detail. You need not know the course and the branches of all these small arteries. How I have taken now, that is how you need to approach an artery. So as far as this session is concerned, your facial artery is very important. Short notes, you can definitely expect this question. You need to be very thorough with this, and you should, in Viva they can ask you name the branches of external carotid artery. And your common carotid artery, your carotid pulse is very important. Again, you just have a look, carotid tubercle, transverse process of your 6 cervical vertebra, surface anatomy, 4 centimeter. If you are going to palpate medially and posteriorly from your sternoclavicular joint, you are going to feel the carotid pulse. It is called as Chydnack's tubercle. Okay, so I hope this session gave you an idea how to approach an artery. Maxillary artery, please do not focus that much on this. You can focus towards the end. Okay, so as far as today's session is concerned, go and study facial artery immediately. That's a very important question. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can post on your comment section. I'll be helping you out.